Hi everyone, welcome to Tridant YouTube channel. My name is Hoàng Nguyễn, and this is the first video of the Data Science series, Introduction to Snowflake and Amazon SageMaker Integration for Feature Engineering and Simple Machine Learning Modeling. Because the tutorial provided by Snowflake uses a pre-configured template without any detailed explanation of how to set up different roles and policy to access both SageMaker and Snowflake from AWS. In this video, I will focus on step-by-step manual configuration rather than using a template for AWS, just to better understand how to manage different roles and control access to a number of applications. The link to this Snowflake tutorial is provided in the video description. And from this tutorial, we can also find a workflow diagram of how the two systems work together. First step, we need to load sample dataset into Snowflake and configure integration with AWS. You can download the SQL Script for this tutorial here, then log in into your Snowflake account and load the SQL Script. Here I just get back to my Snowflake account and load the script. By executing all these SQL commands, we will have a new loan database created, and the script also loaded some sample data in. However, the important part of this is configuring the integration name Snowflake with your asset role and xray bucket from AWS. After generating a new iteration, we should be able to view it in the current list of iteration within Snowflake. So we can execute this command, and here are the iteration have been configured within Snowflake. We can see the new one we have just created, and we can also view the detailed description of the iteration. From the iteration description, we can see that the information like the rows and the S3 bucket from AWS has been recorded, and Snowflake also generates some additional field like the storage AWS external ID. This is the field we need to record in order to complete the configuration from AWS. Now let's move to section 3 of the tutorial. This section shows how to set up the Amazon SageMaker using the pre-configured template. But as I mentioned before, we will go step-by-step manual configuration just to better understand of how to set up roles, add in policies, configure the just relationship so that the two systems working together. Now I will move to my AWS Management Console. From here, we can see some of the AWS services. We will use the IAM service to do the configuration. So just click on it. From here, we can see the asset management with users, roles, policy. We click on the roles to create a new one. We can choose AWS service and then SageMaker. So this will create a new role with default access to the SageMaker. That's the default one, so we can start to add more policy and asset to this one. Just move on. You can add some type if you would like to do so. I just leave it blank for now and give it a name. For example, I can name it as SageMaker. Then we have a new role. We should be able to see it here. This is the new role we have created. We can just click on it to do further configuration. Looking at the new row we have created, we should have the row AIN. This is the field we can copy and put it into the Snowflake integration configuration, as I mentioned before. So this is the field. Another field is the S3 bucket address. I can show you how to find it from the AWS console. Just go back to the console management. We can click on S3. I only have one S3 bucket here. I can copy it, so if you have any of them, you can use it. And then it's all for the Snowflake integration configuration. Now let's move back to the AWS console to adjust more policy. We click on adjust policies. First, we need to make sure SageMaker can connect to the Snowflake using the credential like the username and password. To do that, we need to find and add the just manager policy. So we can type it in the search area. Then I find it here, click on it, and then click on attach policy. So it should be available in the current policy list. Another policy we need to add is the SageMaker execution. It was created when we create a new role. So we can search for it here. Then I found it, just click on it and then add to the current policy list. We can view detail of any policy by click on it. It should be available in JSON format, so you can edit it. That about the policy. Now let's move into the just relationship configuration. We click on it and we edit it in the JSON format. The default service is SageMaker. We need to add another one named AWS. I will show you how to find the field detail. Let's go back to the Snowflake account and then view the integration description. From the description, we can see that field number 5, storage, AWS IAM. This is the field we need to use. Just copy the whole field and then put it in the just relationship configuration. And then we can save it. So that should be done for the role, policies, and just relationship configuration. We should be able to open SageMaker and do some tests. Let's launch the Amazon SageMaker from the Management Console. Here we got the SageMaker dashboard. We can open SageMaker Studio. Now we may need to create a new user to work with this tutorial. So I just click on Add User. You can name it as Snowflake or anything you like. And the roles, we choose the SageMaker role we have created and done the configuration before. Then click on Next and Submit. Just wait for a while. When it's ready, we should be able to launch the SageMaker Studio. After the studio has been loaded, we can see some popular functions here. We can click on the new data wrangler. So it logged in using some computing instance. After the data wrangler loaded, we have a new flow with some default data sources like Amazon S3 or Athena, and we first rename the flow into Snowflake, and then we add data source. You can see that Snowflake already integrated here, and now we can use the credential to make a connection. As we have done the configuration for the adjust manager policy, it should be ready to go. Just input your Snowflake username and password. The integration here, we need to go back and get the name of the integration we have generated from Snowflake. So we name here Snowflake AWS. So we can put it here. Connection name, we can put any name, and the user ID, the Snowflake user ID means you can copy everything before computing. That will be your user ID. Just pass it here and then press connect. And here we go. We can see that all the database available in our Snowflake account already displayed, and then we can try to execute some example SQL query or even browsing our database. You can see the data returned from the select all query, and let's go with some more specific query for this tutorial. So we're gonna do the loan default prediction. So we just select all the relevant column and execute the query. This is our new data table. And then click on import to import the data. Just give it a name, for example, loan. And it will do the final validation of the data sources. So if we have done all the configuration properly, it should be printed for both the. And now we can start to do some symbol analysis. Just click on this button, add analysis. So the most simple one is the histogram on the target column, which is the loan default. And then we can click on preview. This is the class distribution of the loan default column. So it's just very simple analysis we can do with the SageMaker Data Wrangler. We can even save the analysis. Now we're gonna do some data processing or feature engineering. The flow should be on the right column, or you can go back to the data flow to have a look. And we can see here there's some column with some special character, for example the percentage symbol. So we need to do the data transform. Just search and replace the special character with the blank value. So we do find and replace substring, set the column name, the string to replace, and the value to replace. So we should put the space here so that it replaces with the empty value. We can preview and save. Then we can see the new step added to the right column, and the percentage value has been removed. But the column is still, the column format is still in string. We need to convert it into the float. So we need to apply another transform. like select the column name and turn it into float. Preview and save. We can see on the right column we have done 4 steps for data preprocessing. And beside the built-in function, we can print our own, for example, Python code for the data processing, so it will provide you the full control and flexibility for processing the data. For example, for this categorical column value, I can print in the Python by Spark to do the transformation. Then just put in your own script. This script will turn the categorical value into the number, so it will basically add another column to the end with the correct number for each category. There are some values we don't want to include in the analysis. For example, the loan ID. We can apply the column management to remove the unwanted feature or column, and so on. We can start applying to remove some other column which we don't really want to include. Now with these pre-processing steps, the data source should be ready to build our first prediction model for the loan default. But before we do that, we can perform another analysis. It's called the leakage analysis. So this kind of analysis try to analyze the feature set to see if any feature already include the prediction value or strongly related to the prediction value. So we need to possibly remove them to make it fair for the model for the prediction. Here we choose the target column and the prediction type in the classification, and then apply the analysis. From the outcome of the leakage analysis, we can see that most of the features are safe or potentially redundant. It means there's no leakage feature here. So it should be good to go for the next analysis. Now we can choose to perform the bias report. The bias report usually done to analyze whether some feature or some attribute have a special weight toward the prediction of the model. For example, the age group or the location of the applicant. The location could be the contribution attribute. For example, some applicant lives in the area with very high unemployment rate, so there could be a higher possibility they will be default on a loan. Now we will do the bias analysis on the zip code, in the location of the applicants on some specific area. So we can type in the zip code button here to do the analysis. In the bias report, we can see some information like the class imbalance, the difference in positive proportion in labels analysis, and so on. We can save the report to review later. And now we should be ready for our first prediction model. Just use the quick model function from SageMaker. So we still need to choose the target column This is the loan default, and with just a single click we will have the model. There are still some limitations to the model. For example, it just uses a limited number of the instances to train, and also the algorithm is very simple. For example, decision tree or random forest. When then we should be able to see the result. This is a random forest model with 10 trees, trained on 252 instances and tested on the remaining 109 observations. The X1 score here is not very high, it's around 65%, but it's a good starting point. We can always improve the model by using the Python SDK or bring in the more complicated algorithm like deep neural network. And maybe before we can save the model to review it later. It also includes a plot of the attribute ranking. For example, the zip code is most important here. So that's pretty much about the tutorial. So hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any question or suggestion, please leave your comments below or contact us using the following information.